Did you know that according to the Gallup organization, the people manager accounts for 70% of the engagement of your team members? So that means if we're leaders, if we are HR professionals, if we're business owners, it is so crucial that we create environments where our managers are contributing to the thriving and flourishing of our employees and not behaving in problematic, unproductive, toxic, or abusive ways. So in this video, I'm gonna share 5 of my favorite strategies for building and equipping for manager accountability in your organization. Hi there, welcome to People Ops Problems. I'm Leanne Lagasse, and I specialize in helping organizations engage and retain and communicate with their employees. In my last video, I shared 3 sort of lesser known red flags or warning signs that leaders can watch for to identify toxic management in their midst. Please check out that video. I'll post the link to it in kind of the summary description here. I'd love for you to check that out so that when you identify some of those problematic or toxic behaviors, you know the strategies that you can take on the backside to help prevent it from happening in the future. So let's jump in and talk about 5 strategies that you can use to build manager accountability in your organization. Okay, strategy number 1 is to define your management values. You know, most organizations spend a lot of time thinking about their vision and their mission and their core values, and that absolutely you should be doing. But you should also take the time to decide as an organization, what are our management values? What are the outcomes that are the most important to us when it comes to how we lead and how we manage at our organization? By taking the time to define those values, you put yourself in a position then to hold your people managers accountable. Because if managers don't know what success looks like as a manager, it's going to be difficult to show them and train them the specific ways to get to those outcomes. So take some time as a leadership team to think through what's our mission statement as it relates to how we manage people, right? What are the values that we stand for as leaders here in this organization? What do we not stand for? What does success look like? If you will take the time to dig into those questions, you're setting a good foundation for the rest of the strategies to come. Okay, so strategy number 2 is to actually train and equip your people managers. So many organizations get this wrong, that they have expectations, sometimes stated, many times not, for what the outcomes are that they want for their managers, but they don't actually equip, they don't train, they don't create coaching opportunities, development opportunities, traditional learning and development kind of frameworks for managers to gain the skills and the knowledge that they need to be successful in the role. So this one is absolutely on us. If we want to hold managers accountable, we have to give them the tools, the job training to understand what specific behaviors drive those outcomes that we're really looking for and expecting. Okay, strategy number 3 is to train every employee in your organization on what healthy leadership looks like and what toxic leadership looks like. This is a sneaky one because a lot of times organizations, they'll pour time, energy, and resources into training their people managers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those people managers are going to be held accountable to the training that they've received. So if you will take the time to actually equip everybody, especially your youngest employees that are brand new maybe to the workforce and don't have any comparison, to go off of what's normal and what's not normal, or what's healthy or what's not healthy. If you will train everybody, it creates a culture of accountability where those potentially problematic people managers go, well, my people have been trained to identify what are some of the patterns of toxic management behavior. So as it turns out, I'm not going to be able to, employ some of these problematic methods, right? It also really it sends a message to the rest of your team that you value their well-being, that you value their employee experience, and that you're not going to tolerate it when there's toxic managers in place. So this is crucial. Spend some time communicating to every employee, this is what we expect here at our organization, here are our values, and here's some patterns of effective, healthy leadership, and here are some patterns of unhealthy, toxic leadership. And if you are experiencing any of those that fall into this bucket, we need you to speak up about that. That's also going to build really good psychological safety for you. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about strategy number 4, which is to develop a continuous listening strategy in your organization. Now, this one is a little bit more time consuming and a little bit more complex, but absolutely worth it, because if you will take the time as an organization to figure out how to embed listening opportunities throughout the employee lifecycle, as opposed to just sort of an episodic listening approach, which is where you're taking a pulse just kind of every February or, every 6 months, right? If you will make that continuous listening strategy a priority, you provide more opportunities for upward communication to flow, so that if there are some problematic behaviors that start to emerge on a team, you have more touch points with those team members to identify and kind of get those red flags kind of on your radar, instead of waiting another 8 or 9 months before you give opportunities for employees to communicate up about that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can build in employee listening throughout the employee life cycle. For example, you can embed some performance management rhythms that require managers to elicit feedback about how they're doing. You can absolutely create upward reviews as a part of an annual performance review process. I highly recommend that, because when you do that, it sends a message to those managers that you're going to hold them accountable, but it also sends a message to everybody in the organization that works under them that you care about the experience, how they're being led by their people manager. So it does this one takes a little bit more time, but it's absolutely worth your investment. All right, so let's talk about strategy number 5. Now, albeit this one is one that gets a little tricky. It's not going to work in every organization for every people manager you have, but it's an additional way that you can really drive accountability for managers. And that is to tie employee engagement metrics to the way that you evaluate your people managers. So again, it's not going to work for everybody. For example, I wouldn't recommend it if you're talking about a people manager who is over a kind of typically high turnover employee group, right? That wouldn't be equitable to a people manager who has a very steady, stable, team working under them. So you have to be careful about how you sort of organize this in your organization, but it is a really effective way to send a message to your people managers and to your employees that, hey, it actually matters to us around here how your employees feel about the way that you lead them. So you may have to get creative here, but it's worth exploring. Can you maybe provide bonus or incentive or reward opportunities for managers who, by all accounts, are leading teams that feel, engaged and inspired and empowered by their leader? Can you figure out ways to tie some of those employee engagement metrics to how you assess the effectiveness of your people managers? It's a more complex strategy, and again, it's not cookie cutter. It's not going to work the exact same way for every organization, but it's one of my favorite ways to really drive accountability. So there you have it. There's 5 strategies that you can use in your organization to drive manager accountability. As always, thanks for being here, and I hope to see you next time.